Hello, hello, I'm Nardo D&D. I do all sorts of homebrew D&D stuff, like converting old 3.5 Dungeons & Dragons stuff into modern 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons stuff. And that is what I have done today. I've converted 15 Bloodline Feats from Dungeons & Dragons 3.5 edition into Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Now, in Dungeons & Dragons 3.5, Bloodline Feats work like normal feats. You could take them when you would be able to take a feat normally, like at first level, or at second level as a fighter, those kinds of things, and they were related to who your grandpa was, or who your great-great-great-grandpa was. Like if he was a rock or an oak tree, then you would be stony or more plant-like, respectively. So with that in mind, that sounds a lot like how origin feats work like in 5th edition. So that is to say, after all that faff, I have prepared for you 15 new origin feats that your characters can have when they begin their Dungeons & Dragons journey. So without further ado, let's get into them. Right into the first one. They're all related to who your lineage is from, so that's how you would be getting these as your character, and you can make that relate or come out in your character in any kind of funny physical or like roleplay way that you can think of. But I have provided for you mechanics, which are always the funnest part of D&D, isn't it? No, it's the role-playing. Like, the mechanics are absolutely secondary, but they're still good. So, first we have Air Bloodline. They're all gonna be something Bloodline, so just as a thing. It is the origin feat. It grants you two things. There's a little bit of lore there for you to read on your own time. It gives you a little idea, maybe some like themes that you can like go forth with making a character using this origin feat. But that's just for your own time, for your own coming up with roleplay things. I'm not here to tell you how to roleplay, I'm here to tell you how to play, you know? Completely different. So, the two features that you gain from Air Bloodline are Aerial Lift. You gain the ability to hover vertically up to 30 feet off the ground as part of your movement speed, spending 1 foot of movement to move 1 foot vertically. You may use your reaction when falling to reduce the fall damage by 2 times your level. So that's really handy. It's like a pseudo slow fall because you're like kind of attuned with the air. You can hover, meaning you can go up, but you can't go like horizontally. So if you're trying to like get up a cliff, that's like handy if it's like a 30-foot tall cliff. Easy, no issues whatsoever. You like go right up next to it, go up, and then grab the ledge, you're fine. But like if you're trying to cross a gorge, that's gonna be a little tougher. Like this isn't gonna help you cross a big old gorge or ravine, or maybe some kind of big precipice or a crevasse. Those are going to be tough, a big ask for those. You also gain Air Memory. You gain the ability to cast the Gust cantrip, you gain the Gust of Wind spell, and the ability to cast it once per long rest without spending a spell slot. And you can pick whatever ability modifier, the mind ones, to use to cast these funny spells. So that's pretty fun. Wind-related spells, Air Bloodline, probably an air elemental was your grandma, and therefore air elementals are made of magic, kind of, in like a weird way. So you will have some magic. You can do a little bit of gust, you can do a little poof, a little push with the wind, you know, a little Last Airbender kind of thing, that kind of thing. Very funny. Now we get into the goofy 3.5 version ones, because Air Bloodline, that seems very like 5th edition concept, very straightforward. It's an air elemental. You can get behind that. Not too much to get to concept, right? Now, Anarchic Bloodline. You are the descendant of chaotic outsiders, so like a demon or like some kind of fae, potentially. Like either of those, you could be anarchic. You like took from the chaotic nature of your grandpa. So you gain 2 features. Chaotic Flux, a number of times per short rest equal to your proficiency bonus. So like 2 at first level. You can do this twice when you first like start the game with it. When you deal damage with a spell or attack, any kind, like you hit them with a fireball, you hit them with a weapon attack, you shoot them with an arrow, you can roll a d8 and change all the damage you cause with that attack, even if you like smite with it. Like that's adding more damage to it, you change all of it. Change all of that damage to different type of damage based on a d8 roll. And then here are a bunch of different damage types based on that d8 roll. And it's just you roll the dice. It's chaotic. It's random. It is a horizontal upgrade. So it's like a side grade. So it doesn't actually like boost your power in any meaningful way. But ooh, maybe you'll get lucky. It's definitely goofy. What if you heal the flesh golem if you hit him with lightning? You know, that could be fun. What a meme that would be. And also you gain Chaos Release. You gain the Chaos Bolt spell, which is just like a random damage type that you like could just spit out whenever you want. So that's just handy to have, and you can use whatever you want to cast with it. Wisdom, charisma, intelligence, whatever you feel like. That's Anarchic Bloodline, a little chaos, a little kind of goofy stuff there, just to like throw a wrench in plans and things, maybe like spin the wheel more often in combat, just fun things to do. Next one is the axiomatic bloodline, which is the opposite. It means lawful. That's what axiomatic means. It means your grandpa was an angel or a modron, you know, that kind of thing. Words of law, you gain the command and comprehend languages spells, because things gotta be prim and proper. You gotta understand what things are. You gotta be able to give the rules and say the laws and stuff. And then the next one's really funny. Intuit laws. As an action, you may intuit a law of the region you find yourself in based on your observations, which are attuned to the workings of laws and guidelines. So this is really fun to just bombard your dungeon master with questions about the local laws of the land. It's like, oh, let me intuit some laws from this interaction that these children are doing. Dungeon master, can you please tell me about that? Is there a curfew in place, kind of thing? You know, that kind of, like, you just annoy your dungeon master with this in a fun way, and it forces him to world build. So that's good and neat, and you'll be able to like throw it in his face when you say like, oh, these laws are present, we should do this to ingratiate ourselves with the local populace. It's a whole thing. It's great for roleplay and world building. It's a whole thing. It makes you have to think as a dungeon master, makes you have to think as a player. I love it. I love those things that do that, those things. Yeah. Celestial bloodline. Your grandpa was an angle, but not a devil. You gain divine imbuement. You gain the ability to cast holy word cantrip. It's the range attack. You do some radiant damage, that's fine. You gain divine favor spell, so it's like a little concentration. You juice up your weapons with radiant damage. That's pretty good for like first level. You can get this at first level if you pick the class appropriate, but just anything like a fighter and you just add a little more radiant damage to your weapon, that's like pretty nice. I think that's pretty good. You also gain holy resilience, which means you gain resistance to radiant damage, which doesn't really come up that often, but it's nice to have sometimes. I just like filling out all the little damage resistance sections in the character sheet. I think it's nice. You also have advantage on saving throws involved being frightened, because you're just so righteous, like innately, that you're very brave. You got like a holy chip on your shoulder. So that's pretty neat. Next we have draconic bloodline. Your grandma was a dragon. That's nuts. You gain draconic protection, which I was kind of like, I didn't want to just give you resistance because that's basically just you're a dragonborn, and that's kind of lame. So instead, when you gain this feat, you choose a damage type, because you gotta pick what flavor your grandma was. Either acid, lightning, fire, poison, or cold, all the different dragon types. Whenever you take damage of the chosen type, you can reduce it by an amount equal to your proficiency bonus. So you just have like a flat reduction of damage from that. That could be like the best thing ever, but like how often are you gonna be hit by cold damage? Like when does that ever happen? You also gain Draconic Inheritance. You gain the ability to cast Firebolt cantrip, but this cantrip's damage type is changed from fire to whatever damage type you chose in your Draconic Protection feature, so it matches. So you can do the little bolt of energy, but it's always the energy type that matches the type that you picked before, so it's like it's a whole bit. And you gain the Dragon's Breath spell and the ability to cast it once per long rest without spending a spell slot, intelligence, wisdom, it's the whole thing. So that's also very neat. Very, very fun. You get a spell, you get a cantrip, you get a little resistance. Very cool, nice little package, and you can say your grandma was a dragon, which people will say, what was she dragging? Earth Bloodline. You gain the rocky skin, as your grandpa was a rock. You gain rocky skin, because if your grandpa was a rock, you're going to inherit the rocky skin. That's just how it goes. When you take bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing damage, you may, as a reaction, reduce that damage by 1d10 plus your proficiency bonus. You may do this a number of times per long rest equal to your proficiency bonus. So at first level, you get 2 instances of like, ooh, take less damage from that small attack. You know, so that's kind of handy. It's kind of like similar, but not as good as the one Goliath one that you can have. That's pretty neat. You also gain Stone Whispering. You gain the ability to cast Mold Earth and Magic Stones. So you're like, hey Earth, hey rocks, you do me a favor, and then they'll be like, yeah, no problem. And then they mold or become little magic stones. So you can like huck in a fun way. So that's pretty neat. It's like rocks. The elemental ones and like the divine ones and those kinds of things tend to lean more towards being magical. There are ones here, I promise you, that don't involve just gaining cantrips and spells. But that's not going to be this next one. The Fey Bloodline. You gain the ability to cast the Minor Illusion cantrip, and you can use whatever ability score you want for that. You also gain Fey ancestry because your ancestor was a Fey. It's like in the wording of it. So that means you have advantage on saving throws to avoid being charmed. Pretty straightforward. If you got a Fey grandma, you're not going to be charmed easily. That's just how it goes. You also gain Fey senses, which is a like use ability. When you make a perception check, you can choose to give yourself advantage on it. You may do this a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus per long rest. So that's pretty handy, like 2x2, like just let me get advantage on those perception checks. So no more just being, hey, Dungeon Master, can I have advantage? No, you tell him like, hey, Dungeon Master, I'm gonna have advantage on this one. Mark that down on my uses per long rest. The next one is the Fiendish Bloodline. So your grandpa was like devil, demon, Yugloth, you know. Your grandpa was an Arcanoloth. What a funny guy. You gain Fiendish Vigor. You may reduce your level exhaustion by 1 stage once per long rest. When you do this, you recover 1 spent hit die. So it's kind of like a mini rest. It's so, because you recover a hit die and you reduce your exhaustion, which is kind of what happens on a rest, but it's like a small version of rest. That's pretty cool. You can do that once per long rest, so that's neat. You also gain Fiend-like Protection. You gain the ability to cast Produce Flame cantrip, because, you know, the best protection is a good offension. So you get a little fire thing. And you also gain Hellish Rebuke because you're a fiend. Come on, how can you not get Hellish Rebuke if your grandpa was a fiend? He would absolutely put that in the will to let you get it down for you. So that's pretty neat. And you get the Fire Bloodline. Old great grandpappy was a fire elemental, and that was really funny. Increase temperature is one of the features you get. As a reaction, you may increase your body's temperature to cause 1d6 fire damage to any creature you're grappling or grappled by. So that's pretty neat. The big giant scorpion grabs you and is holding you in your claws, and you're like, ha ha ha, you've fallen into my trap. And you just start heating up, and he's like, oh, ouchie, that hurts my hand. And he's burning. Maybe he'll choose to drop you, depending on your dungeon master. Who knows? You also gain Flame Manipulation. You gain Firebolt and Searing Smite. It's like a cantrip and a spell. It's so neat. You can do whatever you want with that. Searing Smite's a nice one. Like, you just get to bonus action, do a little more damage with an attack. That's fun. I like that one. All right, now we're getting to the wacky ones. Illithid Bloodline. Now, I don't think Illithids can reproduce, but like Illithids do little experiments on people, and then those people can go on to have kids. So like, your grandpa was one of those, probably. You gain the Psionic Blast, which is the blast move, which does d6s based on your proficiency bonus, and it's always intelligence based because, come on. You also get resistance to psychic damage, which is actually pretty huge, I think, because that's a big one to get. If you are of this, you'd be great at fighting Illithids because of the psychic resistance. So that's pretty neat and good. Next one is Necromantic Bloodline. Your grandpa was a vampire, maybe. Who knows? Undead Fortitude. If damage reduces you to 0 hit points, you can make a Constitution saving throw if the DC is 5 plus the damage taken. Unless the damage is radiant or from a critical hit, on a successful save, you drop to 1 hit point instead. You can have this trigger a number of times per long rest equal to your proficiency bonus. So instead of dying, you don't, unless they have your number and know to do radiant or get crits. You also get resistant necrotic damage because you're like kind of a necrotic kind of guy, a little decaying kind of friend, little gross boy, as you, little gross boy, little undead boy, they call you on the playground if you are this guy. But you can show them by just not dying when you get hit by a great axe. So that's pretty neat. Penumbra Bloodline. What a goofy word that is. That means you're from the Shadowfell. So that's pretty neat, or at least your grandpa was. You might not be. You gain Meld with Shadows because you're a little spooky guy, a little spooky shadow boy. As a bonus action, if you're a dim, light, or darker, you may take the hide action, just like for fun with a bonus action. So that's pretty cool. You also gain Shadowy Dodge, which is really good, I think. Your proficiency number of times per long rest when you make a dexterity saving throw that would cause you to take half damage if you pass the save. You instead take no damage if you pass the save. So that's pretty neat. After you pass the save, you can be like, I'm using my Shadowy Dodge. Bada boom, no damage. But this doesn't help you if you fail to save. You still take the full damage. It doesn't like half the damage even if you pass. So it's not as good as the real version of this move that you get from Rogue. So there's that. That's pretty cool. Plant Bloodline, the best one. Plant Bloodline, plant-like nature. Your creature type is plant. You do not need food, but still need water to survive. Now, my secret goal behind this origin feat is, besides making your grandpa an oak tree, I want to make Blight the best spell in the game. So I'm trying to put more plant-type creatures and characters out there so I can cast Blight on them for that big extra damage bonus against plants, because it does more damage against plants. And that's my secret goal with this. You also gain Plant Sympathy, which means you can cast Druidcraft and Speak with Plants. Speak with Plants is a higher level spell. Whatever, you can do it once per long rest. That's okay. That's really funny, I think. Serpent Bloodline. This is just Yaun T. No, it's not Yaun T. It's if your grandpa was a Yaun T and he ran away or something. You get resistance to poison damage and advantage on effects that would cause the poison condition. So that's pretty funny. You also have Venomous Nature. Poison Spray cantrip, Ray of Sickness. They both do poison. You can poison people. It's funny. Your grandpa was a snake. Water Bloodline is the last one I have for you. Very straightforward things. Water Affinity. You have a swim speed of 30 feet. So you can move, you can slither in the water like a fish, like a floppy fish. You also gain Liquid Manipulation. You get the Ray of Frost cantrip, because that's manipulating liquid. It's like freezing it. That's manipulating. And Create or Destroy Water. So you can create or destroy water in case you need to for some reason. To help to take advantage of the swim speed, you make the gallon of water and you swim in it. There you go. So that's pretty neat. Grandma was a puddle. There you go. That is all of these funny origin feats I have for you today. Thank you so many for stopping by. It is great to have you guys here. Like and subscribe if you found it was cool and you want to keep in touch to see what I make next. If you want to just see more origins feats, this PDF is in the description. And also, I think I'm just gonna start putting them in the comments as well, just so it's like super visible. It's like, how can you miss the PDF? It's like right there, you know? Let me know what you want to see next. I was taking a break off of prestige classes this week, so I thought I'd do some like funny feats instead. Origin feats seemed funniest, and these are conversions from previous editions. The previous editions of these are completely different. It's just a list of spells you get instead of like a funny effect kind of thing. So that was pretty neat. I like these ones better, honestly. Yeah, let me know what you want to see next. Check out the other videos. The Anointed Knight Prestige class, I think, is the coolest Prestige class I've done so far. So really go check that one out. That's really cool. And if you're a member, you have some fun videos to watch. So yeah, if you want to watch more Prestige class videos, if you haven't had enough, you can become a member and go look at the cool members only Prestige class videos. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, cats' livers are so efficient that they can safely drink salt water.